Well, 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 ladies. Not only is it a Sunshine Turf Friday, not only is it a Feel Good Friday, we are live here at Southern Steer Butcher, a.k.a. Carnivore's Paradise, here on Roosevelt Boulevard, 5421 Roosevelt Boulevard, and we'll tell you all about the specials here. We are here until, of course, 2 p.m. here at Southern Steer, but, I mean, we've already had steak tips, Taylor.
And that was delicious. I need more.
We've also met Jordan Love's uncle.
Yes.
Not Jordan Love,
Jordan
Spieth.
Jordan
Spieth's
uncle.
but
I thought it
he's
was
a
Jordan
Packers
Love's
fan.
uncle, and so that's where I was.
No,
putting it
so
together.
that was the funny part. Was so at Wednesday's show, when we were also on the road at Coastal Equipment, we received a text when we were discussing the biggest collapses in recent sports history, and we referenced both the Packers and Jordan Spieth at the 2016 Masters, and we had a Healigan who texted in and said, "Oh, first my Packers and now my nephew," and we thought, ha ha ha, like that's funny. I even went home and I said to Kevin, I'm like, some guy said he's Jordan Spieth's uncle. He just walked in the door.
Yeah.
You take one look at this guy.
Well, he said, I'm a Packers fan. I was like, boo. And then he goes, I'm his uncle. And I was like, I
That's
thought
why
the
I
same thing,
assumed
but
Jordan
he was
Love.
talking about Jordan.
Yeah,
Spieth.
you take one look at
I
this
didn't
guy
boo his
and his
nephew.
eyes. He's Jordan Spieth's uncle. Like, trust me, I've now looked into them, and I can tell you, it's
I've
for
looked
real.
into his eyes. I love it. Well, we are going to talk a ton of Jaguars football today, of course, as we always do. We'll also talk some basketball, and like I mentioned, it is a Feel Good Friday, so you can weigh in on our show like you can every day. You know how to do it. 641-1010, designed by Lifetime Enclosures is that text line, or on the YouTube chat line, the MyBookie Digital Studio. All right, ladies, let's get into the Jaguars secondary. I think this is one of the more interesting groups on this team as far as trying to predict the depth chart. The first names, of course, we'll know as far as both the cornerbacks and the safeties. It's after that, those other guys that are going to be the depth pieces. That's where I think it's going to be fascinating. So let's kick things off. I think we'll all have Tyson Campbell, Ronald Darby, Jarian Jones, and DeAndre Prince all on the roster as far as corners.
Ronald Darby. Who did you say? Sorry.
Tyson Campbell, Ronald Darby, Jarian Jones, DeAndre Prince.
Yes, those four will
Those
be
four,
made.
100%.
Yeah, those four 100%. And it's funny because as we look at this topic, it was something that I wanted to ask Ryan Nielsen earlier this week, but he was pretty forthright, Lauren, when he said, we're giving everybody the opportunity. I can't tell you right now which of these young players, of which there are many on the roster in that DB room, which exactly fit our scheme, which players or who is definitively a nickel, who is definitively an outside corner. They're trying everybody everywhere, and not to mention you throw in the wild card, which is Darnell Savage playing more of a nickel corner despite being a safety, although that's becoming more of a common practice around the National Football League, i.e. with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, both in Detroit and Philadelphia. And so that's where, as much as we're going to design what we believe the secondary will look like, it's safe to say guys will be playing in multiple positions this fall.
For sure. And I think, honestly, both Doug Peterson and Ryan Nielsen both saying there is no depth chart is what really spun us off into, okay, let's get into the depth chart because y'all aren't going to give us any help, so then we have to do it ourselves. So I think that's a good question you bring up, Mia. Does Darnell Savage fit in the cornerback room, or does he fit in the safety room as far as when we're projecting the 53-man roster?
Yeah, I mean, he's a safety, I think, inherently.
I have him in my safety group. So
I have him in my corner group.
I'm
Okay,
counting
so
him.
yeah.
I'm counting him as a safety on the 53.
Me too.
In terms of where I slide him on the depth chart, I kind of have him. I have him. It's weird, right? Because I have him as like that chess piece. Because I probably have him slotted in, as Doug Peterson said at the owners' meetings back in March. I have him probably slotted in as that nickel right now, but also knowing that we know Jarian Jones can play the nickel corner position. That's where he thrived at Florida State. Also knowing there's some other depth pieces, whether it's Christian Braswell, Gregory Jr., that also could play that nickel position. And not to mention, if you go with a three safety look, do you move Darnell Savage to the safety position? And maybe you do have Jarian Jones at corner in the nickel at the same time. And so that's where I just kind of have him in his own little, like, silo. But if only in 53-man roster terms, yes, I have him listed as a safety.
Yeah, Taylor, I think it's too hard right now for us to predict who's going to be starting because we haven't seen what Ryan Nielsen wants to do with the group of guys he has. We've only seen so far rookie minicamp and one OTA. So we don't know exactly what he's thinking, but that's why we're going more depth chart than we are predicting who's going to be the starters come week one.
Yeah, and that's why I have him more slotted in mine as a corner because I have Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Tyson Campbell because I'm picturing three corners on the field. And like we said, we don't know what Ryan Nielsen's really going to do. I do think we'll see Darnell Savage playing both. I think we'll see him as out there as safety and corner, but I am expecting a lot of those the three corner type defenses, the sub-package stuff where you have obviously both the outside guys and then you need that nickel corner. And to me, I think Darnell Savage is that. Watching a ton of Packer football and hearing all of the Packers fans and Packers media talk the last few years about Darnell Savage and where he fit best, they all wanted to force him into that nickel cornerback position, and the Packers just never really fully committed to that. But everybody talked about how much better he'd be there.
Yeah, and there's a name that we're going to get to when it comes to safeties, but that I feel like some of us might have, before the offseason began, we would have put Antonio Johnson more as a nickel corner, but now it seems like they've told us he's going to play safety.
Yeah.
So he's another guy that could be.
Yeah, they were pretty adamant last year. They were very adamant when so many of us noted that in his final season at Texas A&M, Antonio Johnson played more snaps in the slot, than any other player in college football. But Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, they just kept saying, no, he's a safety, no, he's a safety. And so that should have signaled, and a lot of us didn't want to believe it at the time, that, Rayshon Jenkins only has one more year here, and then this is the heir apparent so long as things look like they're progressing in the right direction, and it appears that that is indeed the case. And so, again, but that's another point, Lauren. Yes, even if your starting lineup is Andre Sisco and Antonio Johnson at safety, who's to say that you can't slide Antonio into the slot and have Darnell Savage at safety? Who's to say you can't take him off the field? Here we go. Let's put Dewey Wingard out there. Let's change it up, especially if you're going up against a run-heavy team, i.e., I was about to say the Tennessee Titans. Let's say the Baltimore Ravens and Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts, a team that wants to pound the rock, and you bring that third safety. You want somebody who can be a physical extra linebacker, if you may, and that's where Dewey has thrived at times in his career.
All right, so to finish the cornerbacks, do you have 5 or 6 on your rosters?
I have, let me count it.
I have 6.
Okay. I figured you
Because
would, because
I
you
have
have Savage
Savage
as a corner, right?
Okay, so that's why. So I have Tyson Campbell, Ronald Darby, I have Buster Brown, I have the 2 draft picks, and I have Christian Braswell. So
Okay,
I have
so
6.
you have 6.
I have 6, and then I have 5 safeties.
And that's going to be the interesting part to me because I think Braswell is the one that if you're asking me today, I would say Buster Brown is on the team and Braswell probably doesn't make the team. I think he would be more a practice squad guy just because you have to at some point shave off a player here or a player there in terms of trying to get down to the 53. So I would have 5 corners.
So the counter to that is, which again, we didn't really get an extended look at Christian Braswell. I was lucky I did a one-on-one with him before he pulled the hammy, and so I kind of got a little more insight. First of all, predominantly played nickel in college, which I think was like an under-the-radar storyline heading into camp last year. And so knowing full well that Ryan Nielsen operates with chess pieces as opposed to you play this position, knowing that he can play that nickel and knowing that there's going to be a variety of flavors rotated in and out of that position, that's where I think he makes sense. Even more so, he was a fan favorite of Heath Farwell's on special teams last offseason. And so
we know that's a key, whether you're talking about the 6 wide receiver or you're talking about maybe a 6 corner, that certainly plays a role.
Right. If
and
he can be a core 4
rules.
guy and
right.
they love the speed and the measurables are there too, that's where if you're going to contribute on special teams, you're going to make this roster.
Yeah.
So, Taylor, you have Buster Brown?
Yes, I have, the 2 rookies, Jones and Prince, and then Buster Brown, Darby, Savage, Campbell.
Okay, all right, and then let's get it to safeties, which obviously, like we just said, Taylor has Darnell Savage in her safeties. I have 5 safeties, Andre Sisco, Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson, Dewey Wingard, and Daniel Thomas.
Antonio, Andre, Dewey, DT, and then Savage. Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
we both
I think
have
the
5.
interesting one, though, and, we had the conversation when we were designing the wide receiver room earlier this week regarding the undrafted free agent and Josh Cephas. Josh Proctor is an interesting one out of Ohio State. He was signed as an undrafted free agent rookie. Of any of the undrafted free agent rookies the Jaguars signed, he was given the most money, i.e., expectations are he will be here in some form or fashion. If you give somebody a lot of money, you would think there's a return on investment. You would also believe that there was a bidding war out there for this player's services. Dane Brugler and the Beast had Josh Proctor projected as a 5th-round pick, and so kind of unclear exactly why he fell outside of testing, perhaps. And so while I think he's probably a practice squad candidate, I think it's intriguing and will be a player to watch as we progress through the offseason.
Yeah,
Yes.
Daniel Thomas, I think, is the one who makes it because of special teams, Taylor.
Yeah, same for me. And that's what I have, Antonio Johnson, Sisco, Wingard, and Daniel Thomas. I wanted to even put Edmonds in that group, too, because I think he does have a chance, but I think it may be more of a practice squad type guy. So that's why I didn't officially list him, and because of Darnell Savage being in my corner list, that I have the 4.
God's gunner, baby. God's gunner.
Yeah.
Daniel Thomas. We got to have him on the show. He's the best. Love
Yeah,
DT.
we'd love that, the
Yeah.
former Auburn player. Look, I think I think you feel really good, Jaguars fans feel really good about the safeties. It's the corners that are going to give them such consternation because they don't know enough about Darby, Jones. FSU fans probably know more than most.
Any
and
of
then,
them
course,
really
Prince.
other than Campbell almost.
Sure.
Like
and
maybe
DeAndre
Buster
Prince,
Brown a decent amount. But
yeah. DeAndre Prince, I think, is a guy, would I be shocked if he ended up starting opposite Tyson Campbell and then having a really good rotation at nickel? No, I wouldn't be shocked. There's a reason that they drafted him. They just drafted him later than what you would have expected if he's going to be the starter.
Well, and I think that you see, to Mia's point, when the way that Ryan Nielsen likes his secondary and the being able to move guys around and play different position, it points to almost every signing he made this season when it comes to, obviously, we've talked about Savage, but obviously Jones, we've talked about how he can play inside and outside. We're just talking about the versatility of DeAndre Prince. And I think we'll see Ronald Darby kind of in one particular spot, but he does have the ability to move other places if they needed to. So I think that it just kind of really indicates the mindset of Ryan Nielsen. And there's going to be games we'll probably see some of these guys like Savage and Jaron Jones playing multiple places back and forth kind of throughout the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, like I said, we can't exactly figure out what this defense is going to look like until we start to see practices and see where Nielsen puts people. So on Tuesday, we get our second look as far as OTAs, as far as the media is concerned. And it's a little earlier, Mia, which is great news for us because we can actually watch a little bit more. It now goes until noon, whereas before it went a little bit later.
Yeah, you stole my thunder there, Lauren.
Oh, sorry.
I ran outside to take a picture and to make sure we got it up on social, and I didn't get to tell you, / I saw you sent an email to me after that Jaguars PR email was sent. I had already gotten in my car. We'll see in terms of, number one, we'll get to watch practice. Number two, maybe I get to stay now and get an interview for us as well, which would be very exciting.
Absolutely.
It'll also be, of course, curious to hear from the one, the only Press Taylor at 9:40 on Tuesday morning. Let's get the Memorial Day weekend vibes flowing into Tuesday. And again, look, I know for those of you driving around, you listen to the Superstation every day. I get it's OTAs. I get they're in T-shirts and shorts. But at the very least, I think that as we design these depth charts and design the different position groups, I think where we can really benefit is identifying who's a young player that we're going to have our eye on in particular, especially those rookies and undrafted free agents, and especially knowing that last year's draft class, which had 13 players and 9 of them made the roster, they were not drafted, at least on the defensive side of the ball, by their position coaches for the most part. And so what does that mean for their status on the roster in this scheme moving forward?
All right, so yesterday we had a poll out. We were asking people, after Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, who's the third best player on this team, and we each came up with a selection. Mia chose Travis Etienne, Taylor chose Eric Armstead, I chose Foye Oluokun, and then we left a response or an option for other. So other only got 7%, Eric Armstead 17%, Travis Etienne 36%, and just above him, and by the way, the poll is about to close in 13 minutes, so I think we can pretty much go with these results. Almost 500 people voted. Foye Oluokun 40%. So really neck and neck like we predicted yesterday between the running back Etienne and the middle linebacker and Foye Oluokun. But I think because people knew the stat of the fact that Foye had led the league in tackles 2 seasons, both between the Falcons and here, the fact that he has the most tackles for the last 3 seasons combined and over 500, I think people go with that. And also, I think he's been healthier than Etienne, and that always hurts people too. No pun intended.
I am surprised that the other didn't have more by the amount of people commenting on the text line and through, obviously, all of our social medias about Kirk and Ingram. Because there was almost every other one, like we listed ours, and the amount of texts and tweets and YouTube comments we were getting about don't slight Christian Kirk. Like, you saw what happened when he wasn't in last season, and we got a ton of those. So I'm surprised the other isn't more, just because of the amount of people that would possibly want one of those two.
And maybe they felt like they'd already weighed in, so they didn't feel like they needed to vote. I'm not sure. But in the end, I think the great part of all of this is we're talking about a team that has lots of good players. A few years ago, we could have done this, and it would have been like, okay, who are the best players on the team?
Logan Cook.
And the answer would have been Logan Cook.
Honestly, Logan probably should have been a nominee. I hate to say
Same with Ross.
Ross also should have been a nominee.
But we decided not to do special teams for this go-around, maybe in the dog days
Cam
of
Little,
summer.
your time is coming.
We can ask who's the best special teams player on the team.
Wingard, come on.
But right, I mean, I think that's where this team has gotten so much better. This roster now has competition at important, not just starting spots, but depth spots as well. Along that offensive line, we broke it down a couple weeks ago as far as who we think is not going to make the team. Now we've done the receivers. There's going to be a talented receiver that doesn't make this roster. Can the Jags keep him? That's always going to be a question. And certainly in the secondary, there are going to be guys that are not Eric Hallett from a season ago that was drafted, or a year ago that was drafted. He didn't make the team last year. I'm assuming that there's going to be guys like that.
Yeah, and it's funny because as we talk about Terrell Edmonds, a late signee in the free agent period, we talk about Josh Proctor, an undrafted free agent rookie who the Jaguars clearly placed a high priority on. The 2020 Jaguars, both those guys are making the roster.
Oh,
no
hands
questions
down,
asked.
hands
Like,
down.
I mean, i.e. Luke Barku. Like, it was no question. It was
Right.
like, oh, he was like the top guy on the undrafted free agent market. Like, he's making the team. And the fact that we've gotten to a point where those players are being added to fuel competition and, hey, perhaps compete and eventually make a roster spot here or somewhere else, that's a good thing. That says you're getting to where the rest of the National Football League is at long last.
Well, when you go back, and it's always an indication when you go back and you look at rosters, and as you're going through the guys who are starting for your team, and you look at where they are now, and they're like third string on other teams or not on any team right now on practice squads or trying to find a home, that's when you're like, okay, well, we had some guys that maybe should not have been starting on this roster, but that's the place you're at. Everybody kind of has those transition building phases, and that's when you talk about a rebuild. In your rebuild, sometimes you have these guys, you have to throw some darts and hope you hit it, sometimes on taking chances in the draft and taking chances in free agency if maybe you don't have the money to spend. But when you're in the position, when you start winning football games, and that's when you really turn that corner of being an organization that can be competitive consistently, is when you have rosters where you are, these guys would start on majority of rosters around the league.
Yeah, the funny part to me in that, Taylor, is most rebuilds are supposed to be only a few years.
Yeah.
This team was in a rebuild for quite
years.
some
Took a little
time.
10 years.
I mean, if you take 2017 out, the last time the Jags made the playoffs was like 07.
But
And
here's
so,
the thing.
yeah.
Take that 2017 roster. We're talking about depth charts.
Right.
Go look at that depth chart.
Yeah.
They were incredibly healthy. If they had had one or two injuries, you would have had undrafted free agent rookies who were kind of those same dart throws that have had to start in years past. You would have had them starting in 2017, and you probably don't make the AFC title game.
All right, we are live here at Southern Steer Butcher on Roosevelt. This is Carnivore's Paradise. Purchase any combo pack. This is, of course, special for Memorial Day, and you get 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of sausage for free. Purchase 5 pounds or more of steak tips. That's what we got to taste earlier, and everybody in here who's shopping for the weekend got to taste as well. You get the special price of $16.99 a pound. We are, again, 5421 Roosevelt Boulevard. We really appreciate our friends here at Southern Steer Butcher for having us out today. So with that being said, we're going to ask everybody today, what are you putting on the grill or the smoker this weekend? What are you doing? Is it something here from Southern Steer Butcher? It better be.
It may be at this point. Like
The Argentine steak tips.
I've got a lot of.
They have a ton of options here.
My mom, when she was here a few weeks ago, had bought in a lot of chicken from Sam's Club, but now I'm looking around and I'm like, yeah, as much as I said we'd grill that chicken this weekend, I can't help but look, and you've got the Wagyu, you've got, which amazing price, by the way, and it looks fantastic. You've got the steak tips, like I said, perfectly marinated, the Argentine, the steakhouse, the garlic and herb, the bulgogi as well. They've got everything, though, too, Lauren. I mean, when you peruse their community shop over
Right.
here, we're talking like pickled eggs.
Yeah.
You've got okra. You've got local beer, local wine. Hey, they even imported some cheese curds from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's the
Got
one
it.
Which
thing
is the
that's
one thing I do
not-
like from Wisconsin.
And that's the
gotta
one
love
thing
that.
that's not local in here,
yeah,
too.
one of my favorite things that Brian makes, short ribs.
Oh,
I
yum.
love short ribs. Those are back there behind the beef back ribs. And so if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can see
a little bit of
every,
them,
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of stuff is good behind
Well,
us. Tomahawk steak as
I
well.
was going to even say, too, because they have some of the appetizer things over here, and it's like bacon-wrapped asparagus,
yeah.
bacon-wrapped jalapeno peppers. I just saw these, and I'm drooling now. Pickle poppers. Never had that, but I might have to get some because I am a pickle girl. Stuffed mushrooms, like so much stuff like that. That's a delicious, and it's perfect because you can just snack on it throughout the day.
Yeah,
And
and
again,
it's easy.
Just
You-
imagine you get that combo pack. You get
Yep.
a couple of those things as I'm seeing it on the
I'm
board right
literally
now.
drooling looking at it.
That means another round of steak tips is coming up. Speaking of food, how does basketball and brunch sound? That is next on a Sunshine Turf Friday. And oh, by the way, if you want more information on Sunshine Turf, just visit them at sunshineturf.info or visit the 1010XL Instagram and you will see some pictures of the turf they just did at Gonzales Park. Absolutely amazing. We'll be back here live from Southern Steer on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday.
What's that?
Find 1010XL on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram by searching 1010XL and follow the conversation on social media because listening at the dinner table would be rude.
Mia here. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sportsbook. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years, you can count on Catlin.
Certainly facing challenging economic times. I can't speak for all of us, but for me, comforting to know my money is in good hands with ITP Partners. Ticket here for ITP Partners, Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. I'll admit it, I don't understand a ton about the economy, higher interest rates, 401ks, but I do know as I move closer to retirement, I continue to watch my money grow. Thanks to Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, and Reed Wingate. Get in the game, guys. ITP Partners, always there to help. For more info, Chris at ITPPartners.com or call 904-312-9751.
Are you really even celebrating if you're not getting the Memorial Day meat sweats from Southern Steer Butcher? We're stocked and ready for you. Check out all of our Memorial Day specials online Wednesday to Monday.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
International soccer returns this summer. Don't miss Premier League clubs Wolves and West Ham in Jacksonville for the Stateside Cup, July 27th at Everbank Stadium. Tickets as low as $35 at statesidecup.com.
Add an ace to your Tuesday morning.
The third ace in 4 days.
Brunch with a tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Art of Natural Stone.
8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and summer fun. That means it can be anytime, whenever there's warm weather out, to go enjoy the off-roads with a Honda ride. Now, this is a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler.
That's right. Honda's got a great line of two-wheel products, and of course, their side-by-sides and ATVs, which are legendary and a ton of fun to get out with your family and friends.
I tell everybody, you can pretty much load up and go anywhere and find fun with one of those.
Absolutely.
Honda with their beautiful off-road lineup, two wheels and four wheels. Check them out on the showroom floor, Atlantic near Regency, or online, cyclesofjacksonville.com.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
It's funny, my dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Now at Hodges Mazda, take advantage of 0% APR on our versatile lineup of 2024 Mazda crossover SUVs. Lauren Brooks here. Choose from the off-road ready Mazda CX-50, the stylish 2024 Mazda CX-30, or the tailored for you Mazda CX-5. With 0% APR for 36 months, you choose the perfect CUV to drive home. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first. Plus, every vehicle purchase comes with 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expires June 3rd, 2024.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Told me names, girl, where you from?
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, live at Southern Steer Butcher. Just told you about the specials. You will love it here, so come on to 5421 Roosevelt Boulevard. And, of course, you'll also love working with Caleb on any of your artificial turf project dreams. They can do whatever you want, whether that's putting turf around your pool, putting in a pet run, putting in an area for your kids to play sports. They are absolutely amazing. Like I said, at Gonzales Park, they just redid a ton of stuff, and it looks fantastic. I drive by there all the time. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl. I'm Lauren Brooks. RJ Saunders back at 1010XL headquarters. Tom Champion Engineering for us here today. And we saw this post from the Washington Mystics, ladies, since we're talking all about food today on this Feel Good Friday. The Washington Mystics are selling brunch and basketball tickets. $105, fairly steep, but that gets you bottomless mimosas, chicken and waffles, pastries, fruit juice, coffee, and a 100-level seat ticket. So some might argue that the 100-level seat ticket is a pretty good ticket. So you get all that food and bottomless mimosas for $105. If we had a women's basketball team here, a WNBA team, Taylor, I'll start with you. I think I know Mia's answer. Would you go for that price?
Oh, that's hard, though. I would probably go, I would go to experience that. I've never been to a WNBA game, so I would probably go for that. And I personally love chicken and waffles. I love coffee. I love mimosas. And so to me, I guess that price for like a one time to go experience all of that, I'd probably do it.
Who are they playing that day?
I'm going to say not the Indiana Fever.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's where
$300.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because if they were playing the Fever or the Aces or the Storm, or not the Storm, sorry, the Liberty, New York, because if they were playing one of those three teams, to get that value for a 100-level seat, that's pretty darn good to also get all that food on top of it. Also, let's be real out here. Heeligans, I don't care if you're a man, woman, however you choose to identify. Like, if you're going on bottomless mimosa, Lauren, you're paying at least, somewhere between $10 and $20 in
easily.
Jacksonville for a bottomless mimosa. We're talking in Washington, D.C., you're paying somewhere between $20 to $30 for bottomless mimosa alone, let alone everything else you're getting.
Now, I will say
you have a ticket to a game.
It does end before the game, so it's not like you get to be sipping on bottomless
Through the
mimosas
whole
throughout
game.
the whole game. It is something that happens only before the game. The reason I brought it up is I don't eat chicken and waffles, pastries, or things like that. Like, I mean, I eat chicken, but I don't
So you're
like
going with
chicken and waffles.
the liquid brunch.
But I would appreciate if they would offer some Argentine steak tips or maybe short ribs or give me something other than – I'd eat eggs, absolutely.
Okay.
Give me some protein other than the chicken and waffles because I'm assuming
Veggie
the chicken and
option.
waffles is all combined with, like, syrup on it. I don't want any of that stuff.
Veggie option.
Or like you said, eggs. I mean, I guess some people think of eggs as vegetarian. I don't know that I do.
Yeah, it would definitely do. I mean, there's
Pescatarian,
definitely multiple ways that chicken and waffles is served, so it depends because some places will full on just give you a piece of fried chicken and then you get a waffle and then you get to do whatever. Some places are more of like chicken bites with the waffle bites, so it kind of depends. But I love chicken and waffles.
I would also want to know where it's coming from. No offense to like stadium food. I've had some stadium chicken and waffles and they're fine, but if they're bringing this chicken and waffles into like, go do it, folks. And again, you're getting like it's a ticket and a dinner. It's kind of like going to medieval times, you know? Like you're going to have to pay more for your ticket because you're also getting the meal included too.
Maybe like the Alhambra.
The Alhambra. There we go.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's probably better than medieval times. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, fried chicken is delicious. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I just was envisioning it covered in syrup with this waffle, and I was like, that's just not for me. But maybe you can talk to them after you go the first time and be like, here's what I would like on the menu moving forward. All right, so Mia, in all this conversation about food today, that led you to the question: what's your biggest beef in the sports world?
Yeah, I kind of was sitting there trying to workshop. All right, we're at Southern Steer Butcher. We love our friends at Southern Steer. Again, don't forget Memorial Day specials. You can get a free pound of ground beef, free pound of sausage, both with the purchase of any combo pack this weekend. And so I'm going through in my head. I'm like, okay, sausage, steak, beef. What's the beef? Everybody's got some beef in sports, or there's some beef going on. So Healigan Nation out there, hit us up on the text line, Designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010. What's giving you anxiety? What really angers you right now with sports? It could be any sport, any player that's in a slump, something that we're talking about too much, something that no one's talking about. You could also hit us up at the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. And if it's not something that's bugging you, Lauren, because I was workshopping this on my drive here, I have a beef that's going on in sports that we actually haven't spoken about all week.
Is it the NASCAR?
It is indeed. Ricky Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, and we haven't spoken about it yet this week.
We need a Busch Light to have this conversation.
Well, thankfully we do have some local craft beer over there, so if we need to crack one open, we certainly can. I don't know if we have all the right sponsorships, but no.
I had to try to ask you the other day. I was like, what happened? Like, explain to this to me in football terms of why they were punching each other and what led to this, but also on what level, like if we could pick two football players, who was the equivalent of these?
Right, so we'll get to that part in the second, because that part I have the answer to.
Okay,
I didn't actually, we had the race on. It was on TV 2. I wasn't actually watching. All of a sudden I looked up and there was a fight going on, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. So we'll get to that in a second, because the two characters involved, it kind of feeds into their persona.
Perfect.
But basically, from what I've been told by friends who are much more tuned into NASCAR than myself, and if any of you are, please hit us up, 641-1010, with your explanation. It really wasn't that great of a finish. A couple guys got cut off. There was delays, or there were restarts, and so evidently Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Busch weren't too happy about some near collisions. And so Ricky Stenhouse, and I swear this is real, because if you look at what he had on, he went back to his trailer. He got a new T-shirt that made his abs stand out even more, and he decided to walk on over and pick a fight with Kyle Busch. And so Kyle Busch, when I've spoken to NASCAR fans and casuals, diehards this week, family, friends, when I said, who are you rooting for, Ricky or Kyle, they all kind of looked at me with the same face of like, why wouldn't I root for somebody to punch Kyle Busch in the face?
I know people do not like Busch.
Right, which I don't like. I will never really understand, because like I've had very positive interactions with him when I've gone to Daytona Media Days, but evidently people do not like Kyle Busch.
This is when we need Donna Murphy to call.
Right, exactly. People do not like Kyle Busch, and people enjoy Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because he's a fun personality. Yes, once upon a time he dated Danica Patrick too, but he's a Busch Light, like you said, Lauren, and he's much more of the younger wave, whereas perhaps Kyle Busch a little bit more buttoned up. And so, yeah, everybody was rooting for Ricky to go pick this fight, which then involved multiple crew members, and it started rolling into the trailers itself and on the ramp. And I don't think there's been a bigger beef outside of, yes, obviously the Caitlin Clark issues, which we won't even go into because we've spent a lot of time on that this week. I would say there hasn't been a bigger beef in sports this week than Ricky Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, and I can't wait for what comes out of the All-Star race and what's ahead of the Coca-Cola 600 this weekend.
For Jaguars purposes, Jalen Ramsey and Anthony Green, AJ Green, there we go. Antonio Brown was still in my mind from yesterday. Ramsey and Green, they got into it once upon a time, and I don't remember who Miles Jack threw the punch at, but there was once in a game.
Oh, it was against the Chiefs.
Zone.
Yeah, it was against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
it was right after he got paid.
Yes. The Jaguars have had some on the field beefs. I would say Jaguars Nation and Jalen Ramsey really would be one of the bigger beefs in the sports world. Wouldn't you agree, Taylor?
Yes. And that's one that I think that obviously it's close to home here because we saw it firsthand watching games. But I think that there's those ones where you just kind of know it's a thing. Somebody had commented when I posted the tweet the other day of like, explain this to me in football terms, and someone said Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib too, which is, I feel like Talib would be Michael Busch in this, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep. No, okay. Aqib Talib, yes. Although, but I feel like Aqib Talib though has like as much as
pokes people in the eyes and just like irritates
people. He provokes people like Kyle Busch. But I would say, and maybe this is hindsight, I would say he, at least in the tail end of his career, was lovable akin to Ricky Stenhouse. Like, people thought he was funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure people find Kyle Busch funny. I think, if anything, they find him too serious and too buttoned up.
It's interesting because earlier you already referenced Chauncey Gardner-Johnson having nothing to do with this conversation, but we all know he's somebody who provokes people on the field. And if he's on your team, then you have his back. If he's not on your team, then you really just want him to sit down and be burnt.
So the good news, our Heeligans have come through, and Donna Murphy,
Always.
if you're listening, of course, we would love your perspective on this as well. Okay, thank you 910. Ricky Stenhouse made a very clean pass. Kyle Busch got mad, wrecked him on lap 2. Stenhouse did a week's worth of work to get wrecked for nothing on lap 2. He also told everyone it was going to go down. The track has no tunnel. He couldn't leave the race, so that is why he had the fresh shirt. He went up to Kyle Busch and provoked this fight, but I understand why he'd be frustrated. You spend this whole week of work, and now you don't even get to finish the race.
Yeah.
I would be upset as well. But I also couldn't help but feel like this was a staged, which I understand he told people he was going to go, but, like, this was like a WWE, AEW moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this was, like, we need to have some sort of glass-shattering music in the background. The Undertaker arises, and it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr., because I just think I thought it was amazing. And, again, I'm just a casual NASCAR fan, and so I'm sure fans of those two drivers and of certain teams felt differently, but I mean, it's clear beef, and it was fantastic. And we have a lot of beef.
I know there's
on
a
the
lot
text
of
line right
beef. People need to let it out.
Yeah,
air it out. Yeah,
This
is a safe space.
That's what we're
This
here
is a safe
for.
space.
Absolutely. I mean, I talked earlier in the week how much I dislike preseason games, and I think that they're a waste of money for fans to have to spend the same amount that they do on a regular season ticket or even a postseason ticket in the preseason when it doesn't matter whatsoever. I wish that those would go away forever, but that's just one of my personal
I don't think
beefs.
it is, though. It's like
it only will go away
less.
if they move to. Oh no, the
money
tickets are the exact same
for like season ticket holders.
Yeah,
but you can go get a $20
yes,
ticket.
but I mean,
like
if you have
online.
season tickets, you have to pay for those two.
Same
And
amount.
this year we have 2 preseason games at Everbank Stadium. You have to pay the same amount for those tickets that you do a regular season ticket, and that's all because of greed from the NFL owners. But again, I've already talked about that this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's hear some of the listeners' beefs.
Oh yeah, I added some of these to this. So the text line honestly was immediately going ham. Some of them, multiple actually, about Caitlin Clark. So the 112 said, my beef is, what's up with all the hate on Caitlin Clark? Same people praising her in February and March are now crushing her for what exactly? And then someone else, the 551, said, I can't believe these people are tearing down Caitlin Clark 5 games in when she has a primary opportunity to push the sport higher. It has to be jealousy. So then someone else, 260, said the biggest beef, and it's been going on, is politics and sports. I think most of us three agree on that one.
Let's hang on the Caitlin one, because you sent us an interesting update on our way over here to Southern Steer Butcher Taylor. Angel Reese tweeting out after the Sky's big win last night, and that's on getting a win in a packed arena, not just because of one player on our charter flight, kissy face, hashtag Skytown. Now, I can tell you.
I just sent it saying, oh.
Right. From personal conversations, let's address this, then we will address the Caitlin Clark beef, because we had another twist in that saga with Elle Duncan going off last night of ESPN. So Angel and Caitlin at this point in time, like, they are very much aware that both wear their heart on their sleeves.
Yeah.
They respect each other. They respect each other's game. There's no hard blood. Caitlin probably saw that and was like, yeah, I'm glad you tweeted that, because it's true. Like, you had a packed arena. Taylor, you've spoken about it with all your family and friends in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
People are excited for that team.
Oh, huge.
She's entitled to say
They're
that.
throwing first pitches. Like, she just threw the first pitch at the Cubs game. Like, that city
Camila
loves
Cardoso.
her. Right? With Cardoso, yeah.
With Camila Cardoso. And she and Caleb Williams, of course, both from the DMV. There's that connection there that they're bringing Chicago back. So let's put that over to the side. There's no beef there anymore, although that was also a media-fueled beef for quite some time. Elle Duncan goes on her podcast last night and goes on a rant that I'll have RJ pull up later in the program, and essentially said, where are these women, these veterans of the WNBA, saying things about Caitlin Clark, because I don't see that. To which I say, did you not hear Diana Taurasi at the national championship say that, reality is coming for her. It's not going to be easy. And I understand that some people say that is not, derogatory. That's not demeaning. That's just reality. But it's just an interesting hill to die on and to choose to discuss when your alma mater is losing to Caitlin Clark and her institution at the time. And so that's where I go back to that. And look, if Elle wants to say we haven't heard anybody outspoken, and some of these conspiracy videos, like I got sent one to me yesterday of her own teammates, like made a comment to her of like, oh, how nice of you to show up for the post game because she was signing autographs. Like, I don't know if any of that is true, but I can tell you that the national conversation continues around this. And certainly Charles Barkley's comment, which, hey, Chuck, we appreciate you looking out for the women. We appreciate you looking out for us, buddy. But also the comment about one player is the reason they have charters.
Yeah.
Probably a bit of a broad stroke.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's probably why Angel Reese posted something like that, more towards a person like that rather than directly towards Caitlin Clark.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So yeah, look, that's why, because I see some of you who are like, why can't we talk about Caitlin Clark? We could certainly talk about Caitlin Clark. I've been told, though, by more than one of you on the text line that we talk about her too much. So that's why I went for some other beef.
There you have it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. There was one more that honestly is more relative, probably close to you, Lauren, because they said the 720 said, my beef is adding the 2 teams to the SEC messed up my Gators' yearly schedule.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. Once you expanded the SEC from 14 to 16 teams with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, you no longer have the exact same rivalry games that we've always had because the SEC has decided they want players, if they play for 4 years, to be able to travel to every single campus for away games. Now, we know some of the best players are not going to play for 4 years, but that's the idea behind it. And so, like, for instance, in basketball, for this upcoming season, I can't remember if it's 2024 or 2025. I think it's 2025. There's not going to be a home and away with Florida and Kentucky. Oh. Something that's been happening since, I want to say, the 60s.
Yeah.
They will not, I think Florida travels to Kentucky in 2025, but Kentucky doesn't come to Gainesville. Like, that's your premier matchup in all of the SEC. Certainly back when Florida was really good at basketball, but even now under Todd Golden, they've improved. And so, yeah, once you add teams, I mean, that's just in the SEC where there's 16 teams. Imagine the Big Ten and how different their schedule is moving forward based off of the fact that they now have 20 teams and some from the West Coast in UCLA and USC. At least the SEC kind of kept the footprint. And so I know some people were like, let's just get rid of Vanderbilt and Missouri when we add Texas and Oklahoma. But, of course, they're not going to do that.
That would be like in the NFL if all of a sudden when they went to that 18 games and they're like, we're also going to expand the playoffs, but you only play your division teams each one time. And so each year it rotates. Like, you'll be at Houston this year, but they're not coming to Jacksonville this year, you know?
Yeah, if they totally mix it up. Yeah. And I don't think the NFL would go to a model like
I don't
that.
Think they would.
But, yeah, it robs you. That's why we talk about London. The game's being played in London. You feel like it robs you of something that is in your backyard and those rivalry games. And so, yeah, the fact that we, have lost, for instance, like if Florida and Georgia, and this is not going to happen as we all know, but if Florida and Georgia one year just didn't play each other, like, there would be a game that's been played for like over 100 years and this rivalry that 2 fan bases absolutely love the game, and it was just gone all because of the schedule changes. But in the end, you're just going to have to embrace it because, unfortunately, I don't know that the conference expansion in college football is over. Yeah. One other beef that Scotty Scheffler might have, we'll get to that next. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday live from Southern Steer Butcher on Roosevelt Boulevard on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Sunshine Turf Friday.
Your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Mike Dempsey on Jaguars Today, every weekday from 10 to noon.
That's the best you can do!
On 1010XL.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
Lauren Brooks here to tell you about Mayport CNC Fisheries Ocean Size Memorial Day Oyster Sale. $5 off any 100-count oysters or $1 off any dozen count. Eat like a local this Memorial Day at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
This week only, it's the Memorial Day clearance sale at Art of Natural Stone, with 2 locations on Beach Boulevard and on Phillips Highway. To make room for new product, they're offering clearance sale pricing on pavers, stones, gravel, and travertine. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your outdoor space with top quality materials at clearance sale prices. This week only at Art of Natural Stone on Beach Boulevard and on Phillips Highway, open Sunday and Monday.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Best Bet is number one. That's right. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine have one-card poker. The fastest and easiest card game to learn and play. Play one card at a time, and the highest card wins even money. If the card values are the same, it's time for war. Just like the game you remember. You must be 18 years or older to play. More at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey gang, a tougher housing market means it's crucial to hire the right agent to sell your home at maximum price. That's why I recommend Chad and Sandy Newman. Chad and Sandy have the plan and experience to sell your home fast and, most importantly for you, get maximum cash. Listen, problems lead to promises, lead to proof when you trust Chad and Sandy. Among those promises, Chad and Sandy, the only local real estate experts I trust and recommend, and this is why. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Problems that you think are problems are fixed with the promises of Chad and Sandy. Let's go now to some proof. Justin and Palatka. I was trapped in a mortgage with my ex-wife on a home that didn't sell for 184 days with another realtor. Finally, we hired Chad and Sandy, and the difference was instantaneous. We had multiple offers in 7 days and sold and closed in 16. So just do this, gang. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 24, 1981, at the 65th Indianapolis 500, Bobby Unser took home the checkered flag as the winner. He is one of 10 drivers to win the 500 at least 3 times.
Attention golfing fans, Leon Searcy here. The Smoking Aces of Jacksonville are presenting my celebrity golf tournament at Queens Harbor Golf and Country Club June 14th. Tee time is at 9 a.m. Along with myself, we've got celebrity NFL, NBA, and former boxing champions who will be in attendance. Go to SmokingAcesJacksonville.com to register or become a sponsor. SmokingAcesJacksonville.com. The big fella will be there.
Hey sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon for QC Kinetics. This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do all the outdoor stuff you love to do, hiking, jogging, biking, playing on the beach. Don't go through summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give new life to your achy joints. You gotta call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 904-274-5522. Serving the Jacksonville area with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. Again, this is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain are here. Again, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. Call QC Kinetics now, 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dalmio O'Brien, I'm Lauren Brooks with you at Southern Steer Butcher here on Roosevelt Boulevard. RJ Saunders back at 1010XL headquarters. Tom Champion making it all happen here. We've told you throughout the show, purchase any combo pack and you get 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of sausage for free. And if you purchase 5 pounds or more of steak tips, you get the special price of $16.99 a pound. And we've got some good stuff coming up on the grill, so make sure you come out here and get to taste the steak tips and whatever else they have cooking up. I know some poppers are coming in, a stuffed mushroom, and some chicken is all coming our way. And if you step by, you will also get to try stuff out. Quick update when it comes to some local sports. We've got FSU playing Virginia, and currently at the bottom of the 6th, FSU 4, Virginia 2 in the ACC baseball tournament. So we'll keep you up to date with that. I mentioned Scotty Scheffler. Well, as we found out, the Louisville police officer has been reprimanded for not activating his body cam because in the end, Scotty Scheffler is not someone who was trying to defy the law. He is still the man we all thought he was, a wonderful, law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, talk about some beef.
So wild. This guy had to have had something against Scheffler.
Or just, okay, so I hope that all the Heeligans have seen the video at this point. If you haven't,
I'm sure most
Golf
of them
Weekly, golf.com, everybody has posted it at this point, so go check it out on social if you haven't already. It's just, at this point in time, it was the officer who, as I saw more than one person comment on X saying, who came in with a flying elbow, chasing down Scotty Scheffler, and that's how he had the alleged abrasions on his forearm, because he came in and chased after Scotty Scheffler. And again, I'm not going to speak on behalf of law enforcement, as our law enforcement is so important to society and what we do, and defending, of course, our everyday lives. But if you are the one who is involving yourself further in a situation in which it didn't appear that the subject aggravated you, I just don't know how it escalated to the point where, from that interaction that we saw on that security footage, from that simple interaction, Scotty Scheffler was handcuffed, pushed against his car,
and had 12 charges,
and brought to prison. I
assault of an officer. That was certainly one of the charges. I think it was second-degree assault too, if I remember correctly.
The only one is the traffic one, and that's the one I said in the beginning. You can argue that because he did not follow the traffic instructions, although we've heard other players were also not following those traffic instructions, because obviously the more important storyline was there was an unfortunate tragedy and a death during this day, so there was a lot going on. You can see in this video there's fire trucks and ambulances, and it's probably chaotic, so there's a lot going on. But at the same time, those are the moments that obviously there's protocol for each of these situations, and it's just wild to me that, like you said, Mia, it escalated so much to the point that a man was arrested. If it's just, especially like what we're just saying right now, it's for a traffic violation, pretty much all of this happened.
And the fact that, again, he was pushed up against his car, handcuffed, it doesn't make any sense to me. And unfortunately for us ladies,
that's why Scheffler was like, help me.
Scheffler, right.
Please help me. Jeff Darlington.
Right. Scheffler's amazing press conference, which I tweeted out, was arguably the best I have ever heard him and arguably any golfer in the last 5 to 6 years at a podium, was after our show on Friday, so we really didn't get to dive really into the comments. But the fact that he says, I'm not allowed to speak on it, and then he proceeded to speak about it for the next 20 minutes.
Marty Smith did a really good job of asking him, can you kind of just tell us what you were feeling? And so that allowed him to just go into the other side of things. Speaking of Scotty Scheffler, currently he is tied for 9th at the Charles Schwab Challenge. He has shot so far a 5. Yesterday he shot a 5 under. No, sorry. Yesterday he was 3 under. Today he's 5 under. So he's having a really good day. So it does seem like he's going to be a guy, we already know this, who's going to be near the top of the leaderboards all the time. Keegan Bradley leads the tournament along with Ryan Fox. They're both tied at 6 under. So we'll keep you up to date throughout the show with that. And also another local sports team, Florida Gators softball, taking on the Baylor Bears in Gainesville. It is 3-2 at the bottom of the 3rd. So it was 3-1 when I first looked, so Baylor just got a run, and now 3-2.
And by the way, the beef is flowing.
Okay.
I don't know if I should say they're grinding the beef, however you want to say it, not just here at Southern Steer Butcher, but on the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosure. So please keep those coming.
Yes.
We'll get to
I've got to
to
share my beef too after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it now.
Well, don't we? I think we have to hit break, so I'll share it after because it might take a second.
Oh, I didn't realize that we have to
It's
sound
an
upon
in-depth beef.
Taylor's beef.
This is 85% lean, 15% fat. We're going nutritional value step by step for Taylor's beef.
That's right. Live here at Southern Steer on a Sunshine Turf Friday. Our Feel Good Friday is coming up next, and Taylor's beef. We've got all that for you on 10 to XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday. The highest quality artificial turf at affordable prices. Visit sunshineturf.info today. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
I want you to promise me something. I want you to play life just like you played that game today. So when that final buzzer of life goes off, you'll have no regrets.
1010XL.
Mia here for Window Gang. It's spring and time to give your home or business a refresh. Window Gang's exterior cleaning services will remove stubborn stains, restore windows to a crystal clear shine, and get your gutters flowing again. Not to mention, Window Gang's gentle cleaning service is perfect to clean pollen off of screen enclosures, solar panels, and pool decks. I've seen the difference firsthand. Window Gang has been out to my house. Be like me and call 262-7300 for a free estimate. That's Window Gang at 262-7300.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Mia here. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide. Cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sportsbook. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing or septic issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to get the job done right. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
It's the coolest week to save during the summer fan sale at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Buy one fan, save 10%. Buy two, save 15%. Buy three or more and save 20% off all fans at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Showroom near the Avenues.
Are you ready to help lock down the bank in 2024? Don't miss a single moment when quarterback Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars take on some of the biggest names in the NFL. Become a season ticket member now to get access to exclusive experiences, events, and player appearances all season long. Lock in your seats for 2024 now by going to Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at Everbank Stadium.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. The JU Dolphins played 2 games of the A-Sun Championship Pool B, splitting the matchups last night. The Dolphins fell short in the first game against the Central Arkansas Bears 10-7 after going into the 9th tied. The Bears put up 3 runs in the final frame that sealed the win. The Dolphins were forced to play in an elimination game with Lipscomb in the second game of the day. The Dolphins came alive in the 8th inning against Lipscomb, scoring 5 runs. Next up for the Dolphins is a rematch against the Central Arkansas Bears in the Pool B bracket tomorrow at 7:05. In high school softball Class 4A state championship game, Baker County was attempting a shot at a second state championship, but came up short to Eustis in last night's game 1-0. This will be Eustis' second softball state championship in 4 years. It's 87 degrees at 1 o'clock, time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Wow! I feel good.
It's a feel-good Friday.
We're gonna have a good time together. And that would be good. So good!
Text or tweet something that makes you feel good today.
I hear good things. Really good things.
Cheers to the freaking weekend. Drink to that, yeah. Oh, let the demo sun sink in.
That's right, it's a Feel Good Friday around here. Of course, we're feeling good because Southern Steer Butcher is the place to go for all of your meats. And of course, it's Memorial Day. They've got a sale going on, so pop by here at Roosevelt Boulevard. And many thanks to Chris, who just brought us out some Argentine thigh chicken meat, as well as some
Sweet
Asian
chili.
Thai chili, whatever it's called.
Yeah, shout out to
One of
John.
those.
Shout out to John on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line, who gave me the heads up. Don't sleep on the marinated chicken, the sweet Asian tenders. Can confirm, my friend. Thank you for encouraging me to make this life decision. They are fantastic.
This life decision. All right, Taylor Dahl,
Yes.
what is your beef/Feel Good Friday?
So my beef/Feel Good Friday, they kind of tie together. That's why. So
Ooh,
my
love
beef
that.
is with the Cubs offense right now because they're making me miserable. They have the lowest batting average as a team in the MLB since April 27th. .201 is what they're batting as a whole. Not fun. So when you go through some of the scores recently, a 3-0 loss to the Braves, a 9-2 loss to the Braves. We won this one, scored 4 runs. Before that, lost 3-2 to the Pirates, 1-0 win. 9-3 loss to the Pirates, 5-4 loss to the Pirates. It's just been honestly not fun to watch this team's offense, which it's been almost like a tale of 2 halves this season for the Cubs, because the first half it was very much we were scoring 11 runs but still losing because the bullpen or the pitching wasn't holding up, and now it's completely switched. So my beef is with the Cubs offense, and they need to figure it out. My Feel Good Friday, RJ has a clip for us because Shota Imanaga has been absolutely fantastic. He leads the Major League Baseball with the highest ERA right now, a .84. The next closest behind that is Ranger Suarez with Philly with a 1.36. Like, that's how good Shota has
that's
been
really low.
this year, and he's on track. They're projecting right now he has a chance to win the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same season just because he's been so fantastic. But he was on Pat McAfee show yesterday, had me cracking up. He's a Japanese player, so he had his interpreter with him, and it was fantastic. So I wanted to play this clip.
That's all. Ask him what he would throw me, and ask him how far I'd f***ing hit that thing.
彼がこういうバッティングしてたら、まず何の球種投げますかと、そしたら俺はもうとんでもないところに打つぞって言ってます。
この構え方ってことですか？まあスイングを見てないのでちょっとわからないんですけども、ちょっと顔付近に投げて威嚇しようかなと思います。
That's so
I
funny.
haven't seen you swing yet, so I can't really say, but I'll probably go fastball kind of near the face. It's a scary
I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm charging.
でもデッドボールじゃないので、ただのボール球です。
It'll be a ball. It's not going to be a hit by pitch.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks just for scaring me here.
So I love this interaction because Shota also has been he kind of has like this goofy personality where a lot of his interviews and like I said, the interpreter has to kind of go back and forth. So I'm sure a little bit of it is lost in the direct translation, but so funny. And he makes all these little comments. They were talking about a few months ago his first time in New York ever, and he was like, it looks just like the Spider-Man movies that I've seen, like just little comments like that. And it's just cute to watch. He also, obviously, we know the Japanese players are very respectful towards the game of baseball, and so they all have kind of their own little things that they do to do it. But he does a little bow to the ump every time he approaches the mound, and I love that too. But so in this, he was on Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee's doing his little baseball stance, and he's like, what would you pitch me? And he was like pretty much at your head. And so they all start laughing, and it was a funny thing. But I was like, that just shows they love the game of baseball, and that's one of the things that I look when you look at all of the leaders in baseball right now. One of the Japanese players is almost in like every single category because they've just been playing outstanding. But it's fun to see also their love and respect for the game too.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And Pat McAfee, as much as he can get on my nerves, he does a great job as far as the guests that he gets on throughout the show. The problem is it goes opposite us. So we want to always represent 1010XL and Hooligan Nation.
And as Taylor knows, one of my all-time favorite moments in baseball media history, Munori Kawasaki, former Toronto Blue Jay, when they used to bring him on the old school intentional talk. Hooligans out there, the UMLB fans, original MLB Network fans know. It would have been 2013, because it was the summer I was interning at News 12 New Jersey, and my boss at the time watched Intentional Talk every day with Kevin Millar at 4 o'clock, and Kawasaki, through his interpreter, would basically push him to the side, and their big signature phrase was "got him," and he would get on and he would just scream, "Oh, got him, got him, got him," and it was just like the most beautiful, organic. He was like, "I don't need," and then he'd be like, "I love you, got him," and it was just the best. So anytime that you see those players that we all recognize there's a language barrier, and we admire them for even attempting to try to learn a language other than their own, and just to try to communicate on national television in said language. But the fact that they have fun with it, that would be another beef I have, quite honestly, is make baseball fun again. I feel like that's that's an eternal beef over the last 10 to 20 years. But I appreciate that these overseas players, they want to have fun. Yeah. And that's half the battle.
Yeah, certainly. Mia, what's your Feel Good Friday?
My Feel Good Friday is looking like I will finally get to play 18 for the first time in, it feels like, 2 or 3 months. We've played 9 a lot, hit the range a lot. I've been able to, and many a golf outing that we've broadcast from, or 1010 has had a presence at. I call it speed golf. Our good friend Brent Hopkins was just here, and he was witness to me at the Guggen. We got wrapped up with our show, and I had about an hour, and I said, I'm just going to take a cart, and whatever hole there isn't anybody on, I'm going to go play that hole by myself. And so it's been a long time coming. I haven't actually played 18, so I can't speak for how it will look at some point this weekend, but excited to get back on the links because I've just been begging for it, and I'm very excited that what's very exciting is for the first time in a long time, I don't have to be on a plane this weekend.
Yeah,
I feel like
you've been on a plane.
I've either been on a plane or I've been hosting a party, and so I'm excited to just kind of relax, enjoy the beauty of Northeast Florida for the next few weeks.
I do recommend staying hydrated, as I know you already focus on, because the high this weekend.
Me with my gallon jugs, Lauren? I didn't realize
for
that.
people who don't
I'm
pay attention,
hydrated.
high of 94 tomorrow, 95 Sunday, and 95 on Monday. Also, for people that are going to be boating this weekend, make sure you're safe. I know that Memorial Day boating is always a big fun thing, but certainly you want to be safe
sunscreen.
in doing it, and always, sunscreen or some sort of shade. Feel Good Friday, my family's 52nd annual family reunion is tomorrow, so looking forward to seeing people from all over the country that will be there for that. And also next Sunday, June 2nd, we've talked about it on this program a lot, the Jax Beach Country Fest comes to town. There is a clear bag policy, and there is one entrance to enter the festival. So just wanted to give everyone that information, but the lineup is goes like this, I should say. Noon, the gates open. 12:30, local artist Craig Smith, whose country is great. Obviously, everybody's country. It's the Jax Beach Country Fest, Lauren. 1:45, Madden Metcalf. 2:45, Emily Mikas. 3:45, Chase Foraker. And that's from 3:45 to 4:30, Chase Foraker and Jonathan Lee. 4:45, Jordan Fletcher. 5:50, Hunter Girl. And the headliner comes on at 7 p.m. Again, this is at the Seawalk Pavilion. Sunday, June 2nd, that would be Chase Beckham. So certainly looking forward to that. This is the first time the inaugural Jack's Beach Country Fest, so I think it's going to be an absolute blast. Just wanted to give them some love. And Mia, another Feel Good Friday, people currently can bid to play golf with you, speaking of golf.
Yeah, speaking of golf, that's the real reason I have to get out and play 18 this weekend because, well, I don't think I'm going to get to play in the walk-off Charities Golf Classic just because, A, we have a show.
We do.
B, we do have Jaguars practice that morning. I will be auctioned off. Yes. I'll auction off. It's not me. Don't worry. You don't get to keep me. I don't think anybody should have to do that besides Kevin and the cat Terrence. But no, round of golf with me. It's at TPC Dyes Valley. And so if you log on to Walk Off Charities, I tweeted out the link this morning. They have the listing for all of the wonderful prizes that their silent auction will include this year. And that includes golf with myself, Joe Cowart, Rick Ballou, Prosser, Frangie. And right now, there's apparently a bid up there for $1,000 to golf with me, and so it all, of course, goes to a great cause. Baseball, underserved communities here in Jacksonville, bringing the game of baseball to them, and some other great prizes if you're not a golfer or if you don't want to have to sit with me for 5 hours on a golf course. There's a lot of other fun stuff, including an 18-seat suite for Luke Bryan's concert at ViStar later this year. 4 club seats and parking for a Jags home opener, a Jumbo Shrimp VIP experience for 15 people, Florida-Georgia game tickets, a Michael Jordan signed basketball, and a Trevor Lawrence jersey, 74 other items as well.
Wow. I love all that. All right, let's get it back to Jaguars football. And again, by the way, walkoffcharities.com is where you can go and then click on the link to the auction. Back to Jaguars football. Which underrated player on this roster can have the most impact in this 2024 season? Taylor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, this question came to my head the other day because I feel like we've talked a ton about the guys that, we talked about the top 3 players we feel on the roster. We've talked about guys that you can't really afford to lose. We've talked about the names that you want to see kind of make the biggest jump this season and all of those type of things. But I think that when it comes to sometimes it's that 1-2 players that maybe you're not expecting to be a big name, a big star name, whatever the case may be, that really could skew that team from a 8-9 win season to a 10-11 win season. And I think that just because of just for me, because I think so much relies on the success of the trenches this season, I'm going to lean that way. And some people could maybe argue and tell me that this is a star name, but to me, the star names on here are obviously like Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, obviously, and Josh Allen and Tyson Campbell, maybe even that, Eric Armstead, the ones that we're talking about, the top 3. So I want to lean towards the offensive line, though, because I do think it's so important. And the obvious one I want to say is Mitch Morse, but I'm going to go outside of that, and I'm going to say Cam, because I think that when Cam is healthy and Cam is not suspended and Cam is on the field, the O-line looks a ton different, and that protection that we've seen really hurt Trevor Lawrence last season and factored into a lot of his injuries and factored into not being able to run the ball. And I feel like Cam is just the piece that ties a lot of things together. He also brings that extra kind of just like fierceness that you miss when he's not on the football field. So to me, I'm saying Cam Robinson just because I think he's going to be, him being on the field is going to be a major factor for this offensive line to all kind of click, especially with Mitch Morse being new to the offensive line.
Yeah, I think outside of Anton Harrison, we really could have broken down those guys. Maybe Mitch Morse to a lesser extent because he's new here. But certainly Ezra Cleveland has to play well, and if he does, that'll help Trevor have more time. And Brandon Sheriff, who didn't have as good of a season last year and he's been banged up here, certainly you could look to him. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Brandon Sheriff out on the streets of Duval talking about him, and they talk about the offensive line as a whole. But yeah, I think those 3 positions, left tackle, left guard, right guard, all need to improve, and we expect improvement from Luke Fortner to Mitch Morse. Mia, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2,
right.
Both on the defensive side of the ball. At first, I was worried that when Taylor started talking about the trenches, she would steal one of mine.
I was debating which side I wanted to go of the trenches.
Yeah, for me, it's Devon Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I got the chance to speak with him earlier this week. You guys heard that interview. If you haven't, it's available on our 1010XL YouTube channel, so go check it out. But obviously, a bounce-back year from him is critical to create that interior push that the Jaguars were counting on a season ago, and then ultimately, in his absence, really never found. And they've done a great job, I think, this offseason, whether it was drafting Jordan Jefferson, going out, signing Eric Armstead, the fact that now you look at Mason Smith, Roy Robertson, Harris kind of rotating a lot of those guys in, knowing Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen will rotate inside as well in Ryan Nielsen's scheme. There's less room for error if he was to miss time, but a bounce back year from him would just catapult this pass rush into a different stratosphere. And so for me, he'll be underappreciated just solely because he's a nose tackle and they don't get enough play, but I think it's a critical piece to that defense. And the other name I want to throw out at you guys, which I think may incite a little bit of debate, Chad Muma.
Mm-hmm.
When the Jaguars come out in their base look, what will that lineup look like this year? Because you can make the argument that, yes, Foye Oluokun would be your Mike linebacker. Would Chad Muma be your Will linebacker? And then Devin Lloyd is the Sam linebacker? What happens when they do shift to a 3-4? Does Chad Muma stay on the field? Right now, in the one limited practice we saw, we didn't get a good glimpse into that because Foye Oluokun has the non-contact penny on, so he wasn't really taking part in team drills, and so it was both Muma and Lloyd out there. There's some revisionist history when it comes to Chad Muma because when Devin Lloyd missed those 2 games in London with a broken hand, he never missed a beat. There was no drop-off. And then Devin Lloyd came back, and even with the club hand, because he had the cast on, he played well those next few weeks.
Almost had some interceptions.
Almost had a couple interceptions. If he had 3, I think it's a very different conversation surrounding him heading into year 3. But I'm curious about the expanded role for Chad Muma, knowing that, yes, at least if only in base downs, he will be on the field more. But perhaps this staff says, you know what? Let's say it's going to be Foye and Chad as off-ball linebackers, and we're going to rush Devin Lloyd opposite Josh Allen on certain 3rd and 9 packages. And I think that'll be something that'll be curious to see as the season unfolds.
Well, and we know that Devin Lloyd has experience rushing the passer at Utah. It just, in Mike Caldwell's defense, the 3-4 lineup, he just never really had that opportunity. And so certainly he has experience with it. I'm sure he'd be comfortable in Ryan Nielsen's scheme to do that. I'm going to take a player who's also new to Jacksonville, and since we at least mentioned Mitch Morse, I'm going to say Gabe Davis. I think people are so focused, and rightfully so, on Brian Thomas Jr., the fact that has the blazing speed. He was picked in the first round. The expectations are sky high for him and with Trevor Lawrence, and able to stretch the field, certainly. But I feel like everyone misses, and I understand why, Zay Jones, because of his personality and what he meant for this team and helping his other receivers line up, i.e. Calvin Ridley. I think Gabe Davis is a guy that can get a lot of attention, especially if the defense, especially if the number 1 corner has to be on Brian Thomas Jr. Gabe Davis might be, I'm not going to say wide open, it's the NFL, but he might have 3 yards of separation, and Trevor can look to give him the ball, or maybe that opens Christian Kirk up a little bit more across the middle, or Evan Ingram. We talk about certainly each position individually, but I think collectively the pass catchers on this Jaguars offense, something to be really excited about. And so Gabe Davis, to me, I don't know that people are really all that excited about him because he doesn't have gaudy stats coming here, but I do think he's going to be, when we talk about the guys that Trevor had the best bonds with, I think he'll be top 3.
Yeah.
Maybe top 4.
Yeah, and I think that obviously when you, and we're talking about Calvin Ridley, we knew the issues with Calvin Ridley, but he also had over 1,000 yards last season, so you want to be bringing in, when you lose a guy like Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley, you want to be able to have guys that can make up for what you've lost. And I am confident that between Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, you'll be able to see that no problem. But I do think, especially what we talk about him being the deep threat and being able to kind of open up more vertically when it comes to the offense, that's going to be such a big part of it. And to our point the other day, Mia, when it comes to what they do, depth pieces with a guy like Tim Jones, if they keep him, if they don't, and Gabe Davis's blocking ability, that goes into some of it too. And another name that to me really stands out too is Ronald Darby, because I think last year, losing Darius Williams, a lot of people were really upset about losing Darius Williams. You got 4 interceptions out of Darius, although, things kind of started fading off late in the season. He was someone that I felt like a lot of people were confident in throughout the season, that he was able to be that guy opposite Tyson Campbell, even when Tyson wasn't playing his best football, or even when Tyson was dealing with an injury, you were confident in what Darius Williams can do. And now there's kind of some question marks behind that, because we don't know where Darnell Savage is playing. We're not quite sure what Buster Brown is going to be. DeAndre Prince and Jones obviously are rookies, so we're not sure how quick they're going to be able to adjust and play in this offense. So him being successful, I think, is honestly very, very important.
Yeah, it's huge, and they're banking on it.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, you've heard now Ethan Waugh said it, and go down the line from the Hunt. They feel that Ronald Darby can start, and therefore they didn't feel compelled to take a corner with the 17th overall pick.
Yeah.
And that says that they're confident in him. And, he only missed 1 game last year due to injury. I know some seasons of his career have been marred by injury at times. But, if we want to go off the PFF numbers, he had a higher grade than Tyson Campbell last year, and obviously Tyson was hurt for part of the year. And he's a guy who has said he's exclusively an outside corner. He told Rick Ballou that earlier this week. And so that says to me he's cornerback number 2 in this defense.
Yeah, I said 2 things before the draft. I said, number 1, I think they should draft Brian Thomas Jr. I'm so glad that they listened to me. I'm just kidding. And number 2, I said, who they pick at 17, and ended up being 23 naturally because they traded back, but who they pick at 17 tells us what they feel about Ronald Darby. And if they pick a corner there, then they're telling us they don't think that Ronald Darby can start opposite Tyson.
Yeah.
If they don't pick a corner there, then that's what they're telling me is they have faith
Confidence that he can.
in Ronald Darby. And like you said, Rick caught up with him earlier this week, Mia.
And that's going to be the first if Darby struggles early and there's issues, the first thing we're going to be hearing is, okay, well, we could have had one of those corners that you wanted in the first or second round, and rather than Brian Thomas Jr., because, some people weren't happy with that pick. All 3 of us were. And then also Mason Smith. That's going to be the thing that is like you could have gotten one of these higher cornerbacks rather than banking on a guy I'm just saying that's going to be one of the first things we heard here in this first few weeks if he's out there struggling.
Oh, yeah, we'll have that beef to discuss come the season. All right,
we were just handed some other meat,
More
not
beef.
beef,
That's
but
right.
yes, more beef.
Absolutely. All right, Power 5 schools can now pay players. What does that look like? You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday live here at Southern Steer Butcher on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Helmets and Heels Sunshine Turf Friday. This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. You know Dan Hicken.
Shouldn't you be out signing autographs somewhere or something?
And you know Jeff Prosser.
I wanted to be a magician.
They are the Drill.
Exactly. You know it.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Everyone can eat grits. A big bag of grits.
Why Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned? I'll tell you why. Over 600 vehicles in stock, one location. That's over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 110 pickups, over 30 Jeeps, over 50 luxury vehicles on the ground in stock at one location. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. Plus, Arlington's 30-day exchange program is now double. That's now 60 days to decide if you love your purchase or come on back and exchange it for one that you do. Worried about financing? Don't be. Arlington's Credit for Everyone program is here to help you get financed. You even get a complimentary car wash with every scheduled service. Oh, and did I mention, the Summer Starts Here sales event is going on right now, even on used. So if you want to know why Arlington, now you know. But I just got to ask, what are you waiting for? Shop the Summer Starts Here sales event in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. From now until May 28th, we're holding our big diamond sale, and now's the best time to buy a quality diamond of a carat or more. Here are a few reasons. First, there's severe upward pressure on rough diamonds, with 4 price increases already this year. Most of this has yet to hit the polished market, so they're diamonds for sale at the old prices. Next, our diamond cutters asked us to house their inventories of existing big diamonds so we could sell them here prior to them being offered to the jewelry trade in Las Vegas. This allows us the ability to sell from their vast stock at brokerage prices you have to see to believe. All of these diamonds are graded for cut, color, and clarity with independent laboratory grading reports. Now, along with this vast collection of big diamonds, we put all of our own meticulously selected loose diamonds and engagement-style rings on sale at prices from 3% to 25% off. We also take trade-ins, but remember, this sale ends May 28th at Underwood San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Hey there, all you sports dads rocking the best dad bod possible. We love seeing you eat tacos by the handful, and we love it when you bring your kids here too. For years, Lucy claimed that her favorite thing on the menu was sopapillas, the big scoop of ice cream. I know that's not a taco, but that never stopped her. I was shooting for Dad of the Year anyway, so I just let it happen. Taco Lou's a great place to bring the family. There's something for everyone, as long as it starts with a taco. And a margarita for mom is always a good thing. At Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
The 2024 season schedule is here, and so are single-game tickets. Don't miss your favorite matchups, and be at the bank when the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL.
To the end zone, touchdown!
Don't miss a moment of the action during our exciting 30th season, and grab your single-game tickets today. Lock in seats for your favorite matchup now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back on the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
It's Kubota Orange Days, your golden chance to score a deal that will make your neighbors green with envy. Shop the year's best selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA. And get the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,300 off L3302 tractors. Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
Coastal Equipment. A breakfast bar that's up to par.
That smells good. What is that?
Brunch with the Tour.
We're all on the same page then.
Tour news, tips, and inside info brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation, 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, I'm Lauren Brooks with you, hanging out at Southern Steer Butcher here on Roosevelt Boulevard. RJ Saunders back at 1010XL headquarters. Tom Champion making it all happen from here. We always tell you about a Sunshine Turf Friday. SunshineTurf.info is where you go. You will love working with Caleb, and he will make all of your artificial turf dreams come true. Here at Southern Steer Butcher, purchase any combo pack and you get 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of sausage for free. Purchase 5 pounds or more of steak tips and you get the special price of $16.99 a pound. We really appreciate our friends here. Chris and Simone, they just gave us a jalapeno popper, a pickle popper, and some stuffed mushrooms. So really good stuff. And you'll, I'm sure, see those videos out on social media momentarily. All right, so we now know that the NCAA and the Power 5 schools came to an agreement, and they will be paying at least they're allowed to, and so we assume they will be able to pay their players directly. No longer do you have to go through a collective. The University of Florida, Florida State University, they can actually pay their players directly. I think this is how the NIL should have been all along, is that let the university and let these players enable the revenue sharing, because we all know, and we always talk about Tim Tebow because he was at the height of all this long before NIL. But even Caitlin Clark, if she had been playing before NIL, she would have been able to make the university so much money and she wouldn't have been able to get any. And yes, she was paid, so she's not in this category. But still, there were so many players.
I'll give you a more recent example then. Zion Williamson.
Sure.
That wasn't too long ago. That was 5 years ago.
Johnny Manziel, from maybe 10 years ago. Some players who made the schools infinite amounts of money and were not able to capitalize. This, I think, is a cleaner way, because the head coach can just say to the athletic director and the president of the university, I need X amount of dollars for my football team, and the university now has to come up with it.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the topic that is obviously the big one right now with Jaden Rashada in Florida, because when we were going over some of the details of that, he was talking about the school itself is not in the lawsuit. It's Billy Napier, the collectives, and all of the other pieces other than other than the actual university. And so that alone would probably obviously change some things when it comes to what happened with Jaden Rashada and his, because what it seems is this company promised money and the money never came through from this company, so it looks bad on Florida. But at the end of the day, it's these collectives that weren't coming through with their side of things. And this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. It's the number, the massive $13 million is that the number is kind of the first one we've seen of that capacity. But when it comes to, in general, some of these collectives not really being able to hold their end of the bargain, that has happened in other situations. So now this takes out that, and I think that is a major part. And we talk about how much more they'll focus in on the contracts and details of the contracts when these guys are signing, or women and men are signing NIL deals, and what that will look like in the future, because there has to be a little bit more regulation. It's just, you want to avoid messes like what we're seeing right now, because it looks bad for the universities. Unfortunately, it looks bad for coaches. It looks bad because now it looks right now that Billy Napier tricked this kid into changing his commitment from Miami to Florida, when in reality it was, the kid wanted some more money and he thought he was about to get more money, and that's what it was. So
or at the very least, that's what the lawyers are saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's alleged.
Yes. Right. And so now you take out that middle part of it, and I do think that will help keep things a little more straight-lined. I do think there's more steps that need to be taken.
And so, per Pete Thamel of ESPN's report, the parties have agreed, the NCAA and the leagues, have agreed to a revenue-sharing plan allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. So again, allegedly, Jaden Rashada was alleged to have been promised $13 million. So if that money was to have come from the University of Florida and this revenue-sharing plan, 13 goes to the quarterback, and then there's $7 million left for the rest of the school.
But see, I wonder, like Nico Imaliva at Tennessee, his deal was reportedly $8 million, but that was going to be over the 4 years that he played at Tennessee, and so
which makes a lot more sense knowing what Carson Beck is looking at, which is somewhere in the 2 to 3 per year, or at least for this final year for him, because obviously he wasn't making that as a true freshman.
Yeah, I do think they said Rashada's was over his time. It wasn't 1 year. It wasn't $13 million for 1 year.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me, because then you'd have because then you're going to get in the situation of the offensive line, like, why do I want to protect this guy?
Yeah.
Even though I know you have to put good tape on for the NFL, but at some point, like, you're annoyed that somebody is getting more money than you are.
But that's the thing. So $20 million per year with its athletes. And I understand football is where the bottom line for most institutions begins and it ends in terms of revenue making and generating revenue. But if it's $20 million for each institution, let's just say that is indeed what the number is, that each school in America in the Power Fives or Fours, RIP the Pac-12, is given this $20 million. How are you, number one, as you guys alluded to, dividing it amongst the football team? Who gets as much money as who gets like more money? The offensive lineman, the backup center, or the third string wide receiver? So that's a conversation that needs to be had. And there also needs to be a conversation had of how does that $20 million get divided within each institution? Is it at their discretion? That's fine, because not all schools are made the same. At Kentucky, I would think that $20 million per year, a good chunk of it is going to go to the basketball team, not the football team. But I would think Mark Stoops has something to say about that too, does he not? And so that's where, again, it is certainly a way of decentralizing government, and I respect that. And it's akin to, as Governor DeSantis has said, you can't, when it comes to FHSAA regulations, you can't look at Tallahassee and regulations there the same way as you do Miami. It's two very different places, and you can make the same argument for schools and how they separate that revenue. And so allowing the schools to have, basically passing the buck along and just saying, hey, kick the can down the road. It's up to you guys to decide it, which is very NCAA. But at the same time, it's also going to create, perhaps for some of these schools, interesting conversations with the student athletes themselves. And that's before we get to a point where potentially athletes could collectively bargain and, in turn, negotiate where their financial thresholds are.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Follow the NFL model. Have a players association and have the ability to have a contract based off of what you've done. And so the pay for play to me has always been more about rewarding a player for what they did on the field the year before, not for projecting what they're going to do. And so if I got to decide, I would say, all right, at the end of the year, how many snaps did you play? What was your performance? And I would then, depending on what the collective bargaining agreement would say, is, okay, if you're the starting middle linebacker and you played 90% of the snaps, you get X amount of dollars. Let's call it $1.5 million. And then the left tackle, same thing. But if you're the guy who really never got on the field, well, that's terrible for you, and now you're probably going to want to transfer because you're not going to get as much money as the other people. Or the kicker, if the kicker missed a bunch of kicks, he doesn't get as much money.
Yeah.
I like the process of, how more of the real world works, which is we have our performance review based off of the prior year and not so much projecting.
How do you quantify that? Is there a set number for the entire country, or is it by institution?
Well, I think the people that are high up, like a Greg Sankey in the SEC, those commissioners get together.
So it's by league.
I think each league, or they can come together, whatever they decide, as long as they're using the same amount of money, as long as there's the quote unquote roster cap, basically salary cap like the NFL, as long as every school's only using $20 million.
Yeah.
But that's where we're going to get the other conversation is, well, okay, you mentioned Carson Beck at Georgia. Carson Beck might get his, let's say, $3 million.
Right.
Just use a round number.
Yep.
But is he also getting a car and a phone and a laptop
and that's separate.
Clothing
that's
allowance.
not what the school's paying him. That's on his own.
Right. And so the endorsement versus salary part of things, does then the governing body, and who at this point is that, I don't even know, but do they say, well, you have to cap that too? You have to cap the endorsements? I have no idea.
There's a really interesting thread that I started reading earlier about this. It's Ross Dellinger. He writes for college football for Yahoo Sports. I mean, he goes through, he does a whole article on it where it's very in-depth, but he highlights a bunch of things in it. Number one, we talk about the back damages, and we didn't even mention that just right now, but it's almost $2.8 billion, $2.776 billion over 10 years from NCAA national office. 40% of that is coming from that. Schools are paying 60% of that. But he goes on to kind of talk about like the revenue share, the cap enforcements, the roster changes now with all of this. And that's the things that I think we're not there's a lot that is going into this. By the way, it still has to go through other levels. So it still could be a couple more months before it's like officially voted through. I was reading in one of his things. But he does say 20 to 22 million annually for each of the school, from schools to athletes. It's schools' discretion on how it's distributed. It said it will be implemented summer, fall of 2025. And he goes through some of the cap enforcement. So obviously there's still like the court oversights for some of the stuff.
September or summer 2025?
It says summer/fall.
Right, because that goes right along. Matt Hayes said yesterday or 2 days ago on XL Primetime that his sources said to him the same thing. Summer 2025 is not far away, folks. This is a year from now that they have to sort through all this minutia.
Yeah. And the athletes have to report if they have third-party NILs. It must be a true NIL based on developed fair market value that the NCAA has improved, and that's enforced obviously through the NCAA and court backing. So there's so many things. It does no pay-for-play / booster play. Roster changes. It says it eliminates scholarship caps, implements new roster limits, which is not finalized yet, but they said we could be possibly seeing 85-man rosters, the cap going to 85. And so there's a lot of little pieces to this. So if you go find him, Ross Dellinger, on Twitter, he has this whole thread and a really good article going into a lot of the details of what's going into this, all of the other little parts that maybe we're not really thinking of, and maybe we'll answer some of the questions, too, that other people have.
Yeah, I think Ross Dellinger does a great job. And that's the thing is all of the National College Football writers, Matt Hayes included, have to figure out what this looks like for the schools and for coaches and poor coaches who are already working on transfer portal players and keeping their own roster intact and worrying about the actual football field, football that's going to be played in the fall. And, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this in Feel Good Friday, but I realized as soon as I woke up this morning, today is May 24th. You know what that means? 3 months from Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin.
Wow.
Because that game is week 0. Mm-hmm. So exactly 3 months we will have college football. So that's something to be excited about. On Sunday, RJ Saunders, there's another edition of Open Gym. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
And what will we be talking about? I'm assuming the NBA playoffs.
We'll be talking about the NBA playoffs. Also want to get a little bit into this whole Bronny James situation. It's probably going to be my last time really talking about it before the draft. Just You hear the reports from guys like Rich Paul. He's saying we're not going to do a two-way contract where he's going to be in the G League and other things of that nature. So I'm going to hit on that. Also going to have Eric Pincus from Bleacher Report talk about the NBA playoffs as a whole. He was also at the NBA Draft Combine, so want to get just a perspective on a little bit more of the prospects that are in this year's draft, who may go first, because there really isn't a concrete or solid answer. Then we'll have a special one-on-one that I'll just tease, and, you guys tune in on Sunday and check it out.
RJ, brother man, I'm looking at the live stream right now. Why'd you turn your camera off? Because Taylor Dahl has a bone to pick with you. We're going to carry over the debate we had in the office last night, especially because you're going to be talking Bronny James on Sunday. Taylor, take it away.
Well, because you yelled at me when I asked if you would put DJ Burns on, would you be happy with the DJ Burns tryout for the Lakers? You practically yelled at me. And you might have said you'd take Bronny over him.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, so what you're telling me, RJ, is you would rather take Bronny James at 55 overall, that late second-round pick for the Lakers. You would rather take Bronny James and his, 7 points per game in college? You would rather take him as opposed to DJ Burns and taking a flyer on him late. Correct me if I am wrong.
You are wrong. I'm correcting you.
You are wrong. It's funny, too, Mia and RJ, because on the text line, someone earlier, when we were talking about our beef, and someone had texted in about a couple of his beefs, but then was like, on a lighter note, Bronny has people betting he'll be the number one pick. What a joke.
Well, that's not going to happen. Like, RJ, that part I'm correct in saying. Like, he is not, as much as this is a weak NBA draft class, and we very much could see a scenario where the first 4 to 5 players taken in June, I was about to say this month, in next month's NBA draft are European players and or players that began their career playing in professional leagues elsewhere and or the G League. Bronny's not going in the first round.
No.
Right? I'm not crazy?
There's an argument as of right now that the Phoenix Suns, who currently hold pick number 20, are going to have a workout. They are considering. There's also the Dallas Mavericks, who are, I believe, considering at 16. So, I mean, you never know. There's a lot of guys who are saying we're going to probably pick him on the strength of what he could become, not what he is right now. However,
and on the strength of, can he lure his father to come play with him and make it a super team with whoever the stars are in Phoenix, Dallas, or wherever. That's where, like, when LeBron went off about, Caitlin Clark and, the disrespect, this, that, the other, and then he brought up about, how much Bronny has faced negative backlash. Well, guess what? If you're going to allow that to happen, like, I don't know how as a parent LeBron James could stand by and say, yep, my son deserved to be the 16th overall pick, and not in the back of his mind be thinking part of why they took him is because they also knew they'd get me.
Yeah.
Like, I there's no way. There's no way that you can't not think that at this juncture.
I mean, I don't agree fully.
And I don't think Bronny's a bad player, by the way. I think he's a glue guy. That's the problem. And
yeah,
you don't take a glue guy at the 16th overall pick.
Right. I mean, Mark Spears, who I'll play his audio clip on my Sunday show. He spoke to 2 execs, and really they're just from one exec. He's saying if the Lakers don't draft him, I just don't know who is in a particular spot, whether first or second round, because he's a bit of a tweener. He's a guy that is good on the defensive end, but they're saying he's also going to be a guy that you're probably going to play inverted pick and rolls with, to where you're going to try to have him in a mismatch because he's 6'1". Right. So I don't also believe I'll take what Dave McMenamin has said. Essentially, with LeBron James didn't necessarily say he wants to play with his son. He just said he wants to share the same floor with his son. And I'll take that for what it may be. I do think that, things will be the handwriting has to be on the wall for a couple teams to say, like, would LeBron come to our team if Bronny James is selected with our pick? But it also does seem that the lovely Genie Bus is going to ride this LeBron train for better or for worse. It's worse, Genie! Is going to ride this train for better or for worse, and probably pick Bronny James with the 17th pick. Therefore, I would say, once again, Kobe would never. So when I look at you and Taylor as well and say, you guys think I have this, like, love affair for whom? LeBron who? We have a truce. I'm a Kobe guy. LeBron, not worth my time.
I know you're a Kobe guy.
You were talking as if I wasn't.
No, you're a Laker guy, though.
Yeah.
Wrong. I'm a what?
Just a Kobe guy, not a Laker guy?
I'm a Lakers guy, but Kobe first. LeBron James, how many players have been in the NBA? 1 million. LeBron James comes in for me at 1,025,000.
Oh, okay.
Tune in to Open Gym on Sunday, 11 a.m. You'll hear more from RJ Saunders. We've got one segment to go here live at Southern Steer Butcher on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels. Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Wherever you go, there we are.
I know. I checked online.
1010XL is on your smartphone and tablet. Download our free app for all devices and take us with you around Duval and around the world.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Mia here. The NBA Conference Finals have arrived, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide. Cash out or let it ride. Oh, boy, here we go again. The Minnesota Timberwolves favored by 5.5. I know John O'Leary told me play that money line, the Dallas Mavericks, plus 191. No sirree. I believe in Anthony Edwards. He will bounce back from whatever that mysterious fatigue was in Game 1. I believe the Timberwolves get it done tonight to even that series. I also like the Pacers on the money line, plus 218, to finally win one over the Boston Celtics as that series shifts back to Indiana on Saturday. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make that first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting!
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
Get grilling this Memorial Day weekend with Southern Steer. Buy a combo pack and snag 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of sausage for free. Specials listed online run this week from Wednesday to Monday.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Getting ready to go boating is just as important as the safety precautions you take while on the water. This National Safe Boating Week, make sure you have your safety equipment and know how to use it. Life jacket? Check. Whistle or horn? Check. Flares? Check. Personal locator beacon? Got it. These are just a few of the items to have prepared for the journey, regardless of your experience level. This message brought to you by the National Safe Boating Council and Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Learn more at myfwc.com.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Set your alarm. Memorial Day doorbusters are here at Lowe's. Save big on a Master Forge 3-burner gas grill for just $99. Plus, save over $500 on a Whirlpool top-load laundry pair, now only $896. Beat the rush for these limited-time deals before they're gone. Because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 5/27. Appliance offer valid on items 782472 and 670009. Price includes all discounts while supplies last.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold, whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer. Dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
As always, we've got a local sports update for you before we get out of here and turn it over to XL Prime Time. We are live here at Southern Steer Butcher. So currently, FSU baseball is leading Virginia 12-7. That's in the top of the 8th. So they're in the ACC baseball tournament. In the Super Regionals in softball, Florida softball is up 4-2 on Baylor, and so that one is in the top of the 6th. So that one's getting the bottom of the 6th. That one's nearing an end. And then last night in softball, Baker County lost in walk-off fashion.
No, all these walk-offs.
I know, it's really insane. It was a pitcher's duel, and they ended up losing in the state championship 1-0. Like I said, in walk-off fashion. So hearts go out to, Baker County. The ASUN baseball tournament is all over the place. I saw some games were canceled because some teams were mathematically eliminated. We're not going to focus on that. We're just going to focus on JU, who had a doubleheader yesterday. They lost to Central Arkansas 10-7. Then they beat Lipscomb 6-5. So tonight, JU has a rematch with Central Arkansas for a spot in the ASUN Conference Championship semifinal. That pitch is tonight at 7:05. I told y'all yesterday I was going to be watching the track and field East Regionals there in Lexington, Kentucky, because of Parker Valby.
Yeah, 10,000 meters last night,
10,000 meters was last night. Yep, the 5,000 meters will be Saturday night. So it was supposed to start at 6:10. It got delayed. Long story short, she didn't start running until 10:45.
Oh my gosh!
But
and then now she has to run today.
No,
tomorrow.
She runs tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But I will say, her 10,000 meters, 6.2 miles, she finished first.
Get it.
Even though this is her only second time ever running the 10,000 meters. So hopefully we will get to see her, like I said, in the Olympics.
That has to be so difficult. We talk about a lot, like you see a lot in rain delays of baseball when the pitcher has to go sit down and they're like, oh gosh, how long? And you're
I
just
thought the
saying
same
that
thing
all day.
And and you have to focus on, being at that certain level to run that far. So she ran, I talked to my dad about it because he stayed up and watched. She ran the 5th fastest 10,000 meter time in the world, and this is only her second time running the event. So pretty crazy there. But thanks to everybody who submitted their beefs this Friday. We really appreciate our friends here at Southern Steer Butcher. Hope everyone has a great and safe Memorial Day weekend. Of course, we thank all of the heroes who fought for our country and lost their lives. We really appreciate the families of all of them as well. For Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, for Tom Champion, and for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Of course, don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Tuesday.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.